sports bettors, pay attention. In the next half hour, we're going to really tell you the ins and outs of the sports wagering industry and the best way that you can be profitable and have fun at the same time. Bottom line is,
we're going to show you how to treat your betting as a business, not a losing hobby.
that's the bottom line. Keep it right here. We're going to talk about money management, bankroll, all kinds of sports, the difference between sports handicapping and sports trading. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks, we're in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the gaming capital of the world. And the beauty of what this industry has become, it's 365 days a year. I'll tell you what. I'll give you the day after the All-Star game. You can have that day off.
1 day off, I'll take 1 day off.
1 day off. The bottom line
dark
is
day.
It's year-round. It doesn't stop. And
Never stops.
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's
Even
true.
on Wall Street, they get 2 days off.
How did it all start for you?
Back in the early 80s, my partner, he owned a horse handicapping service based out of Baltimore, Maryland. It all started with the horses at Pimlico Racetrack, and then it migrated to where he made the lines for the local BMs that you couldn't get a number in the newspaper. You couldn't go to donbest.com and log on and check your scores. The odds were not published in the newspaper, your daily line, and you actually had line services that you had to subscribe just to get the daily number.
In all walks of life, and it's a cliche, there's no substitute for experience, but that may be even more apropos in this industry.
Absolutely. And these guys were calling up, and it migrated to them wanting the daily number and then saying, you know, you're so good at making the number. Who are the winners? And then it migrated to who are the winners? We just want the winners. We can now get the number for free. So now that the number's free, it migrates to now we don't need you for the numbers, so you better give us the winners. So now we have the handicapping industry. So our business based out of Baltimore was in the infancy. We were like the second handicapping service in literally the whole country. And then you have the horse racing business. And then it migrates to where we are now with everything, technology.
And we're going to talk about how the industry has changed. But the one thing that I think is important, and I know you treat it as a very important part of your business, it's still the human touch. And if they call, they're going to get you.
Absolutely. I use the internet now to deal with clients one-on-one as opposed to using email and customer service reps. People still want that personal touch to pick up the phone and speak to someone live and direct, and that's a big component because now you don't want to call and get your computer fixed with a call center somewhere internationally and sit on hold with somebody at 2 in the morning. People are tired of that. So now everything's migrated back to that personalized service, and they don't want to deal with an 18-year-old kid that's never actually made a play on a game and is reading off a teleprompter. They want to know that the player on the other end of the phone is making the plays themselves, and I am a player.
And let's not, just completely paint the rosy picture. This is a tough business. Like in any walk of life, you're going to have good days and bad days, but this is a what have you done for me lately business. But again, the fact that they can speak with you, you can talk about why you made a play or what your rationale is. Some people just want the picks and be done with it, but some people want that reassurance from you.
Absolutely. They want to know why we made the play. They want to know if you lost the game, why you lost the game. If you won the game, they don't really care why you won the game. If you won the game, you don't hear from them. I always joke that commercial when the pin drops, when the game wins, but
The phone doesn't ring.
The phone doesn't ring. I always tell my client, my wife, when the phone doesn't ring, I know I sweep the board.
And we'll get into more detail down the road, but you for baseball, for example, you could be 1-1, but still make money.
Absolutely.
Because if there are plus plays out there, and we'll dive into baseball and other sports more specifically, but it's back to that. It's a marathon, not a sprint mentality. And we always warn bettors, simple mantras. Don't go overboard with what you witnessed last. Don't bet a game just because it's the game that's on TV. There are a lot of, even though they are just little mantras, they're true.
Throw out the last game. The last game is the one you don't even want to look at, and it's the cardinal error that most people make the mistake of playing. And one of the things that I like to tell my clients is that this is a business. This is all about treating your betting as a business. 99% of all sports bettors here on the Vegas Strip and around the world lose. And they lose because they're playing from emotion. As we like to say, they're playing with their heart, not with their head. So the bottom line is this is the service that we're employing to try to get you psychologically to treat it as a business. And there's a lot of parallels to Wall Street where you can take it directly to the Vegas Strip and make money hand over fist, season after season, irregardless of what shape the ball is.
All right, we're going to talk about some sports and seasons specifically. But again, in this segment, more of an introductory for you. Let's just talk about the day and age that we're at in the industry. You alluded to it, saying where we are now. I mean, it has gone from sports handicapping to the day and age of trading in syndicates.
Listen, I used to lug around 3 laptops the size of the biggest briefcase I could find. Now I have one phone for calls, and I have another phone here with my DB feed, which I bought another iPhone strictly so I can get updated odds in real time, and that's its sole purpose. This is a computer in my hand which allows me to see every injury report, every line move in real time.
And not just for games, and just because that's how the industry's changed for the player, because halftime wagering has become
unbelievable.
Just a monster.
Pop-up alerts right on my phone, and this is when a client calls my office. I show them how to employ this service on their phone. I actually supply the service to them when they're a full VIP member, and these are the things that it takes it to a whole different level, because another big problem in the trading business of all financial trading is human error and exhaustion from looking at screens. When you're able to go out and sit by the pool and have a phone in your hand and not be exhausted because you're staring at 17 monitors all day, it gives your body a break and allows you to have a clearer head to make the right wagering decisions.
Bottom line is, it's a different animal now in this information era. There used to be a time when people pick your spot, Ohio or Kansas, they'd have information about a local team that maybe the odds makers did not have. Bottom line is, now, from an information perspective, it's a level playing field for both sides of the counter.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to money management and your bankroll. And we'll dive into the details of what your approach is to this. But you've got to bet within your means and be consistent with it. And that's where you'll come in and guide them on that aspect.
Full service money management, and we'll discuss that in the next segment. Absolutely, 99% of this business is money management. You could win a million games and you could be 90% against the spread, go 9-1 and still lose.
Real quick, give me the difference between a sports bettor and a sports trader.
A sports trader is trading with a plan. The sports bettor is playing just, I live in Ohio, and I'm going to make a wager on Ohio State. That's it.
It's that simple, but there are more details to come. Don't go anywhere. Football fans, don't fret. Welcome back. And we're going to have a big segment on football because who's kidding who? It's the 800-pound gorilla. But right now we're talking about the opportunities year-round. And I love the way you put it, the seasonality of sports wagering. It keeps you hopping, but there are opportunities on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And look, the bottom line is that's where it's changed globally. My clients have access to information globally, and with the internet and the ability to play anywhere in the world, you have horse racing year-round. You have international soccer, which is very profitable year-round. And I must say, that football, the other football, that's close to, we'll call it a 600-pound gorilla. The money wagered, the handle on international soccer globally, I must say, is huge.
I got to interrupt you and ask you about that, because soccer, you've told me on many occasions, you have a number of clients that are actively involved in this. They want to play the soccer game. Now, we don't want to contradict ourselves. Okay, if you're getting feedback from a customer and they want to play a sport, you'll do your homework. You're not just going to make up a play because they want to play it. When the shoe fits, you're going to put it on.
Yeah, it's all about information.
But because you've gotten that feedback from your customers, you've taken the sports syndicate aspect of it and applied it to international football.
It's a global network, and the feedback from the customers is the customers are no longer North American customers. They're customers in Australia. They're customers in London, England. They're customers in Asia. They're customers globally all around the world. My phone rings from every area code in every country because it is a huge market. So what happens is between the international soccer, between the horse racing, even you're talking about horse racing that we love, Hong Kong horse racing is absolutely outrageous. And then you take it to the next level with hockey. Hockey, which is NHL hockey, is really a global sport because most of the interest is in Europe because most of the players are European players playing in America.
You don't have to get me started or sell me on it. Hockey, albeit it's a minuscule percentage of the overall wagering handle, is one of those sports, if you know what you're doing, you can really take advantage because the odds makers, in the big picture, they're not doing as much homework on hockey.
Absolutely.
And the goaltender's the great equalizer. If you know what you're doing on ice, you won't be cold for long. You'll make it hot.
Absolutely. And here's the bottom line. The bottom line, when it comes to betting as a business, I talk about the financial aspect of wagering. If you are wagering in the financial markets, you would not say to your stockbroker, only give me a stock in the Dow. I'm not going to trade a stock in the NASDAQ. You're looking for opportunities in the financial markets. You're not worried about what exchange it's trading on. So, from a betting point of view, it does not matter whether it's football, basketball, baseball, international soccer, horse racing. I look at each game as nothing more than a 3 to 4 hour investment. And so that's the concept of treating your betting as a business. And when you call me, that's the difference to try to take the fan aspect out of it and make money 365 days with it.
I love we brought up the soccer, but I mean, it doesn't matter. You could look at PGA Tour weekly stops, head-to-head matchups, NASCAR matchups, NASCAR futures.
I believe
whatever sport is out there, there are opportunities if you're guided in the right direction.
I believe I sent you a text in mid-golf season. I had a client of mine, he won $62,000 on a golf match. Remember, he put up $1,000. He won $62,000 on a golf match. You wouldn't even think of doing that if you were not playing from a business point of view. So these are the things that syndicate betting versus handicapping, and there's a pure distinction in the industry, fan betting, because I think most people, the allure of sports wagering initially is I'm a fan of football, I want to sit home Monday night, I want to watch a game, and I want to make a friendly wager.
Now, hockey's the same thing. But let's talk about baseball, because in many respects, you're talking standalone for a couple of months, gets you through the summer months, and we will talk about football. But baseball, similar to hockey, is one of those deals. You're not sitting here. I know you're not. You're not sitting here saying, "I'm going, 85 and 15." But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's about making money, being profitable. Baseball, for example, you could have a 5-5 record, yet you've still made some pretty good money if you're playing the right dog or laying the run line.
Right, and it's all about making money on the dog side. And what I explain to my clients is that when you're playing money, it's the absence of the point spread. Hockey and baseball, there's an absence of a point spread. You're not no longer my team won by 6 and I was laying 7. I'm picking the outright winner if I'm not playing the puck line or the run line. You're just taking that dog value. And the way my firm, my syndicate, accentuates the dog money in hockey, in baseball, and in MLB. So what I'm looking to do is basically go 50% some days, go 1-1, make money, and basically bark to the bank. And I realize, it's a 162-game season, not counting postseason, not counting preseason. It can be very boring. And I understand the interest, the lack of interest, it can be very tiring when there's 15 games a day plus in baseball. But if you're betting as a business, the stock market's open every day. So is the sports market.
And I would just say this. We always hear from the handicapper, they're looking for value. There's no value in ripping up a losing ticket. But especially when you're playing a plus price, that's
Correct.
when value really comes into play.
Absolutely. If you can risk less and win more without playing a parlay, you always have value because you don't have to hit 70% to make your money. What's the cardinal rule? You have to win 57.4% to break even to beat the VIG. If you can bet VIG free here on the Vegas Strip or anywhere in the world, you could be a winner.
And I just want to throw this other aspect of it out, and this is a year-round deal. There are race and sports books in Las Vegas. I know you've got a team now working on horse racing. And the bottom line is, you can, in a 6-furlong sprint, 1 minute and 12 seconds, or at 1 mile and a 16th in 1 minute and 44 seconds, get a 6-5 horse. And if you're doing your homework and you really can dissect the race, albeit bad trips, jockeys, mistakes, things happen. But over the long haul, if you're winning with a 6-5 shot, What's the beef with that? I mean, that's the same concept as laying 110 to win 100 in a football game. You get an ulcer sometimes for 3 hours, and it's a coin flip. You can make money at the horses.
Not to mention the favorites, the chalk only wins 33% of the time. So there's good value on the dog side.
You're covered on all sports, but we know the sport everybody gravitates to. That's football, and that will be our focus of attention in a moment. All right, we know you've patiently been waiting for football because that's what everybody's all about. And the beauty of college football's a monster. Hey, finally we're getting a playoff. Long overdue. The beauty of the NFL, what a marketing genius that organization has become. As soon as one season ends, they wet your whistle with free agency, the draft, on and on it goes. Preseason's here before you know it. They'll be kicking off. September be here in a blink of an eye. Yeah, but the customers want football. It doesn't matter what.
16 games, and that's the whole thing about this whole season, which is when you think about it, it's the shortest season with the most pump, the most meat on the bone, the thing that gets the most excited. And the syndicate bettors, the big guys, which we'll discuss later in this segment, it's all about college football. I mean, the real money is made on Saturday. And a lot of these guys are having funny Sunday, and they're making their millions on Saturday.
And again, we say you don't bet a game just because it's on TV. But as this becomes an even bigger reality show, now we've got every week virtually NFL games on Monday, on Thursday, Sunday night standalone games. So the appetite is clearly out there.
I mean, I remember living on the East Coast when the Monday night football game was at 9 o'clock. And then they moved it up for the West Coast clientele because they, wanted to have an earlier game. And then now you have, like you said, you switched it over. So, it does make a big difference.
Before we dive into some of the many avenues and approaches you can take for football season, let's just talk about the evolution of the industry from the sports handicapper to the syndicate approach to it and the trading approach.
Right. I think it's a misnomer. People don't understand the term syndicate. You've watched interviews on TV. You've seen the high-profile news shows that are not sports-related interviewing syndicate bettors. What's a syndicate? It's a very smoke and mirror, kind of like a magician thing. Look, if you're watching this, it's about a group of professionals that are basically drilling down, is that line beatable? Is it a line that's determined to get equal money on both sides? Because the big misconception is the bookmaker wants equal money on both sides, and I think you and I can both agree the bookmaker is never equal on both sides. Very unlikely that he's...
More often than not, there's a decision on the game.
There's a decision on the game. So he's a gambler like his clients, and he's rooting for a side. And he's usually right. So I basically say the bookmaker is the dartboard, and the gamblers are throwing the darts. So the bookmaker doesn't have the decision. He can move the dartboard around. So what he's going to do is he's going to move the line. And the question now comes into play when a line moves on a screen. Is it smart money or is it public money? And what syndicates do is they middle games. They take positions on both sides of the game. And that's what we do with our high net worth individuals. We have a syndicate middling program. Clients call us that have huge money. We show them how they can grab at different casinos, minus 2.5, plus 3.5, hit critical key numbers, lands on the number.
You mentioned in the earlier segment that you're involved with the horse racing and making selections in part of the handicapping with the horse racing. You're trying to get between the ears of the trainer, and you'll be looking for an equipment change. Does he add Lasix or blinkers on or blinkers off? What is the trainer thinking? The same analogy then can go to what is the bookmaker thinking? And you'll see, you mentioned you follow the screen, there'll be some books that are on an island. Well, they could have liabilities in futures, a certain side. Some people move the money on air, but you're also kind of getting between the ears of the sportsbook directors.
Absolutely, because a lot of these guys are going to take positions. They have a position where I know a couple years ago when the Giants played in the Super Bowl, this is like 5 years ago, there was a sportsbook in the islands they were from New York. They basically moved the number to get all the action on the other, so they were heavy on the Giants. I mean, they just didn't care. It was when the Giants played the Ravens in 2000, and they just took a position on their own play. So the bottom line is when over information, that's one of the rules in syndicate betting. I think where a service like mine comes into play when you're watching this video and when you call me is that you can have information overload. There's too many amateur players that have access to information online that don't know how to use it. They have IP overload. Too much information, and they see lines moving, but they don't know what it means.
And again, at the beginning, we granted you the day after the Major League Baseball All-Star game off.
Right, exactly.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a year-round deal.
It's a year-round deal.
In college football, you're focusing on recruiting classes. What were the outcomes and approaches to spring games, trying to find out who's really getting the upper hand from a personnel
And then what about
aspect?
injuries? You don't even know.
Injuries are the biggest thing that you follow there. And then, of course, we mentioned the NFL with free agency and the draft. It's a never-ending process to be ready to roll come that first week of September.
Absolutely, and that's another thing. Preseason has changed. Now lines are up. They put soft lines up. You have certain coaches like in past years, the Baltimore Ravens, a prime example. They won the Super Bowl last year. A team that loves to win in preseason and covers 90% of their games in preseason year after year. You have other teams that have great players. They're going to go far in the NFL. They pull all their starters in preseason. If you know this ahead of time, coaches' tendencies, you can exploit that in preseason. They'll put up a high number, and you know they're not going to play. These are the things that the average guy won't know when he calls in August, because he used to wait till September. He's already playing preseason and exploiting that now.
And again, to the year-round aspect of this, and I know it's something you try to accomplish, and believe me, it's the bettor's dream. We've got the college games of the year that are going to be up for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. They'll be up in early June, over 200 games. Wait a minute, week one NFL lines before the NFL draft ever occurs, those lines are up. But what happens when numbers are up that long, certain situations come up, be it injuries or just a change in perception, there's opportunities down the road to middle these games.
Middle games. If you can get the early number and then wait and get the late number, it's all about having multiple outs and taking advantage of it. And that's what we do when you call us here. We make you money on a consistent basis.
There you have it. Football will be here in the blink of an eye, and we're not done just yet. Keep it right here. Hey, we started this video simply with a broad brush overview. But when all is said and done, the bottom line is you're looking for a phone call.
All you have to do is pick up the phone and give me a call. And as we discussed in this video, if you're playing as a business, it doesn't matter what shape the ball is. An oblong-shaped brown ball made of pigskin, a little white ball, a big orange ball, a little golf ball, it doesn't matter. And even a tennis ball, why not? And you know what? Down the stretch they come as the horse runs around the track. It doesn't matter. Oh, and the black and white soccer ball, all the balls, just pick up the phone and make the call. As my partner used to say, don't stall. Make the call. It doesn't matter what shape the ball is. Treat your betting as a business, not a losing hobby.
Have you made vacation plans for the day after the All-Star game?
Yeah, one day, no TV, no games.
Enjoy that day off, and we thank you for joining us.